Good evening, I'm Sharon Thomas. This is ITV News London. Climate change protesters are still on the streets of Covent Garden tonight, having brought the area to a standstill since lunchtime. It's the start of 2 weeks of action by Extinction Rebellion. The centrepiece was a giant pink table, with protesters and their families stopping traffic as they tried to make their voices heard. After a summer of flooding, both here and abroad, the group are now looking to put pressure on the UK government for change, as Simon Harris reports.
Extinction Rebellion returned to the streets of London with another pink totem. Not a yacht this time, but an oversized table. The climate change protesters set up camp at the junction of 6 streets, bringing Covent Garden to a standstill. This was now a no-go area for traffic. In his day job, Pete Knapp is a scientist specialising in air quality. He's also an Extinction Rebellion activist.
We chose this spot because it's a place where the global eye is looking. We want this to be a wake-up call ahead of COP26.
It's clearly been organised in absolute secrecy, and they have extraordinarily managed to block this junction with a massive, great big pink table. The police didn't know where they were going, what they were doing.
Keeping the police guessing was all part of the plan. To the constant beat of protest drums, the Extinction Rebellion supporters began day one of their action with a march from Trafalgar Square. They headed along Charing Cross Road, coming to a standstill at regular intervals. At Cambridge Circus, a handful of protesters used a banner to stop the traffic as the march changed direction.
I appreciate they've got causes, but there's people that, have got to do their jobs.
Before they set off, the marchers were told by one of Extinction Rebellion's founders they weren't a protest movement, but an active rebellion against the British government.
We feel that disruption is probably the only way to make the point of how serious the climate crisis is.
The question now was, how would the police respond? In 2019, when Extinction Rebellion closed Waterloo Bridge, the Met faced criticism for allowing it to happen. The tactic today was soon apparent: kettling. The police officers have been given a simple instruction: anyone who leaves won't be allowed back in. That means the protests can get smaller, but it can't get bigger. The lines of police blocking the streets took many protesters by surprise.
I tried to dash through, but they tried to stop me.
With the main body of the protest corralled in one place, it became a waiting game. Simon Harris, ITV News, Covent Garden.
Police have today named the victims of a double murder in Westminster, saying they were stabbed in the neck. The bodies of Clinton Ashmore and Sharon Pickles were found at separate addresses on Thursday and Friday. Detectives say they want to speak to 49-year-old Lee Peacock in connection with the murders, and this evening released CCTV footage of him walking up some stairs at Wembley North Station. Officers believe he knew both his victims and say they need him to contact them urgently.
We're looking to locate Lee as quickly as we can. The sequence of events, as we understand them, is Lee travelled to Wembley North Station on the evening of the 19th of August. And obviously we are pursuing every line of inquiry we can to trace his last movements and locate him.
At Whitechapel Station today, a mixture of old and new signal the progress on the much-delayed Crossrail project. The original facade, which dates from 1876, has now been restored, leading to a new ticket hall. Rags Martel took a tour.
Reopen and updated. For the last 5 years, this place has been a building site. Today, Whitechapel Station is finally back to normal.
I'm delighted with it, and just seeing the reaction on customer faces this morning coming off the district line and seeing this brand new facility that frankly they had no idea was here behind the hoardings until this morning is just brilliant.
First built in 1876, Whitechapel Station needed a revamp. £831 million later, it's come out of the Victorian era and fitted into the needs of modern travel.
I think the biggest difference is the fact that we're step-free now. We've got access for wheelchair users, buggies, with lifts and escalators.
The work took place while the trains kept running. It's even fitted with a green roof, a growing sedum flowering plant, the first of its kind on the tube network.
Having a green roof is obviously good for the environment and biodiversity. You're standing on one of the most complex engineering stations that we have, with the bridge over the platforms.
But not everything at this station is open. Behind this metal fence is the Crossrail section of the Underground. ITV News was invited down to take a look at how the new Elizabeth tube line is taking shape. Here, behind the scenes, empty ghost trains run every 5 minutes. Briefly, we managed to film inside London's newest carriages.
Whitechapel. This all looks impressive, but in truth, it's years behind schedule and billions over budget.
The Crossrail project has spiralled off the tracks. It's now 4 years late, and at the last count, £4 billion over budget.
The question everyone really wants to know, when will it open?
First half of 2022, we will open the central section between Paddington and Abbey Wood. It looks like we'll almost open it now, but the reality is we need to make it reliable for the 200 million customer journeys a year.
What does first half of 2022 mean?
So the boundaries between February and June next year.
This station is built for 95,000 people passing through it a day, but those passengers will only come once Crossrail is complete. Rex Martel, ITV News, Whitechapel.
Sport now, and pinch yourselves, West Ham United fans. You won't have been able to say this very often, but the Hammers are top of the Premier League. It is after only 2 games, of course, but a 4-1 win over Leicester tonight puts them top of the table. Michail Antonio scored 2 to help seal the win, and it was the first time the London Stadium had welcomed a capacity crowd since the start of the pandemic. More than 3,000 bags of clothes and children's toys have been donated to a synagogue in Bushey after an appeal went out to help Afghan refugees fleeing their country. The gifts donated by the congregation were so overwhelming, the community has had to borrow an entire house, as Chloe Keedy reports.
Boys on one side, girls on the other.
It is a small but slick operation. Up against this mountain of boxes and bags, they are sorting, sifting, packing and parcelling things they hope will make strangers feel welcome.
So we've got shoes. We have shoes, we have women's clothing, we have toys, pushchairs, and we have bicycles.
It all started on Friday night when the rabbi of this synagogue in Bushey put out an appeal on social media for donations to help 30 Afghan families settle in.
Could you ever have imagined a response on this scale?
We expected that we would be able to help them. We didn't realize that we could help up to 3,000 refugee families with everything that we received.
You don't mind giving up a bit of your holiday time to come and do this?
No.
Why?
I just think it's really important to help people.
And it's how we came over many years ago, and if people hadn't helped us, who knows where we'd be now.
Imagine going to your family and telling them we're leaving, we can't stay here anymore, we're going to a different country, say goodbye, and no, we're never going to come back.
Someone has even donated a house as somewhere to store all the other donations until they're needed.
It's not a one-day wonder. This is going to go on for quite a long time, and I'm told that because the large families these lovely people have, it could be 4 to 6 months before everyone's left Bushey.
But for now, it is all about welcoming them to Bushey and trying to make them feel at home. Chloe Keedy, ITV News, Hertfordshire.
Now, still pretty warm out there today, wasn't it? But is it going to last? Here's Sally with the forecast.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. I hope you're keeping well despite some of the disappointing weather we've had this month. But things look like they'll perk up a little bit tomorrow. Fine and dry, some sunny spells outside and pleasantly warm as well. Not hot, but quite warm in that sunshine. And here's what's happening over the next few days. High pressure is in place, keeping our weather fairly settled. Bit of a change perhaps Wednesday into Thursday as this cold front sinks south, just making things a bit cloudier, maybe a touch drizzly on Thursday. But into Friday, that high pressure hanging on, and it looks like it'll stay around for the bank holiday weekend as well. Keep an eye on the forecast, and hopefully we'll see some sunny spells out there too. So back back to tonight. Not a huge amount going on, some clear skies, so the temperature's dropping down, perhaps a little bit cooler than these temperatures here in the countryside. And there might be the odd spot of mist first thing tomorrow morning, but otherwise a better start to the day than this morning. Some sunshine on offer and blue skies. There will still be some patchy cloud around coming and going, but the temperatures should get up to 23 or 24 degrees, fairly similar to today. But it might just feel a bit warmer with the sunshine, a little bit cooler out to the coast with a fresher breeze. And then perhaps a touch more cloud around on Wednesday, especially into Thursday, but picking up for Friday and Saturday. I'll see you later on. Good night and sleep well.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Sounding promising. And just before we go tonight, they were back in step today. To the delight of the tourists, it was the first changing of the guard since before the pandemic. And there was a musical nod to the British Olympic team's success in Tokyo, performing Gold by Spandau Ballet. Fantastic. That is it from us. We are back on air tomorrow from just after 6 o'clock in Good Morning Britain from all of us here. A very good night.